Behavioural finance is the study of how human beings make decisions, the psychology behind that decision making, and particularly with regard to money, so investment, saving and wealth. And why I think it's a very interesting topic is because traditional economic theory says that human beings are rational, we make conscious decisions that are based on data analysis. Behavioural finance reveals how sometimes we behave in a way that's different to that. We might make irrational decisions, we might make unconscious decisions, and particularly we have hardwired biases that affect the way we make conclusions. The herd instinct is one of the biases that we have. Psychologists say we have about 150 biases that are hardwired into us for very good evolutionary reasons. The herd instinct is probably one of the best known ones because instinctively we like to be amongst our own kind, we like to be amongst other people, we like to have ideas supported. And the herd instinct, or to give it its jargonistic name, information cascades, is when we see other people doing something and we choose to follow their example. And so, for example, that may be a very useful survival technique over millions of years, but when it comes to financial markets, it can be quite dangerous. We see lots of people doing the same thing, for example, buying a stock. It gets very speculative. We all jump on board as investors. It gets overvalued and more people jump on board. The herd instinct. The problem with the herd instinct is that at those sorts of times it can lead to what are called financial market bubbles, which, although at the time they feel nice and happy and healthy, they can be very destructive and destroy a lot of wealth when they pop. So a bias worth watching out for. Daniel Kahneman, who is a professor of psychology, was given the Nobel Prize for Economics in 2002, so a psychologist being given a prize for economics. I think that was a big step through in terms of awareness of how important this subject is. And over the last 12 years since then, it's become increasingly mainstream in the way that people think about markets, about valuation of securities, about trying to decide how efficient or non-efficient markets are. I think it'll grow in importance as people recognise that it's a very good way, if you understand the psychology behind human decision making, how to avoid making bad mistakes. And so many things in investment that go wrong are due to errors of judgment, and behavioural finance, I think, helps us understand some of those errors, some of those biases, and allows us to be more efficient in our decision making. Now, what can we do about our biases? How can we get better? I think that it's fair to say that the most important thing you can do is to, first of all, become aware of the biases and then do something about them. And the best way that I've found is through coaching. Asset managers can be coached on how to get better. There are lots of small things one can do in one's daily investment life to become better investors, and coaching is a very good way of starting. One final point, to be a coach requires a lot of things, but remind yourself of any performance art you know, any performance sport you know. All the best people have coaches. How is it that in the world of investment, where billions of euros are at stake, it's seen as a sign of weakness to have a coach? And so something that I think will change dramatically in the next few years is that I think more investors will have investment coaches to help them achieve their targets.